YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. What do we have for you today? This is the FMS F7F. Absolutely gorgeous plane. It is big and kind of hard to hold, but I'm gonna tell you something, it is gorgeous. We did set up differential thrust. I'm gonna show you the gear first. That's how long it takes. Look at those mains and the nose gear, absolutely gorgeous. This thing comes with multiple liveries. Look at that thing, just amazing landing gear. Look at all the different movements going on. It's just amazing. And when you add to that a little bit of differential thrust, it's just amazing. But I gotta say, the thing is kind of hard to hold. So without further ado, here we go. We'll show you a little bit of grass ops here as we turn the plane around. In fact, we'll go ahead and grass ops for our first takeoff as well, which we don't normally do. Look at that thing get out.
Wow.
It's like not even thinking about it, folks. You're going up. Now I gotta admit, the differential thrust is totally, that's 50% throttle, a little bit below 50 now. Doesn't need it. So sweet. Full throttle. Oh, that is so dang gorgeous.
Did you put your mic on?
No, I didn't. So guys, we're gonna be yelling on this one. Listen to that thing scream. Camera crew, let's go to the other side. I just want to get behind the sun. That thing is a big plane though. It's flying absolutely fantastic. And I'm gonna tell you this, if you decide to do the differential thrust, it's very cool. And it's gonna be really fun to set it up if you follow along our unbox build radio setup. Man, that thing is fantastic looking. You see that shadow, the presence? Look at that weird cloud up there. What the heck is going on there? That's so weird. It flies heavy because it is heavy, folks. This plane has the power to get around, but it needs the power because it's heavy, like Draco heavy. And it's a 1.7 meter, which means that you actually have to fly it, which is a little bit weird because it has so much power and authority in the air. Here I am gliding. Should turn braking on. Because with those huge props, you just end up with a lot of drag. But watch this differential thrust. Oh man, it just pulls the thing right over. And with that huge amount of dihedral, the plane flies almost like a trainer, but it's a heavy trainer, folks. So make no mistake, this isn't for the beginner necessarily, although you could pick a worse plane. This thing is so huge, it makes it easy to see, unless of course your clouds are blue. And I say that only sort of jokingly, because the truth is it will disappear in the clouds just like a lot of warbirds. This comes equipped with reflex. Let's show you the differential thrust. Look at this, guys. That's what you get when you put some differential thrust, and I only have 20% in left and right. We started with 100. Beautiful, love the nose art on there, by the way. It's my blonde counterpart from yesteryear. By the way, there is auto leveling on this creation. I haven't even used it. Full landing flaps here. Let's slow it down for you here. This is the first time I've got a chance to really fly this plane. Full landing flaps, about 50% throttle here. Very draggy with those flaps down, but just don't think she's gonna slow down too much. Love looking at those shadows on the way up. That's about the back of our property there, folks. Cover a lot of ground with the big plane really fast. Beautiful clouds today too. Up and over. Guys, this thing does not lack for power. It's like the F4U Corsair in the 1.7. except that you have enough power to do all the things you expect it to do as a warbird. And that's part of the reason why I love this plane. I'm gonna jank it here, going up and over. That's a 50% input on the stick. Look how sharp you can turn that thing. And it doesn't feel like it's gonna break in half. Love it. Probably a little bit too big for the bull with that little bit of crosswind down the runway. Man, that's so gorgeous. Okay, so I think what I wanna do is I wanna try for a touch and go. Takeoff flaps coming in. Gear take forever to deploy, which is super fantastic looking. Camera crew, let's take a few steps back just in case something goes wrong. Okay, they have 50% throttle. We're gonna fly down this corridor. You guys usually don't see the corridor from this angle. And since it's calm, full landing flaps, watch how much speed this thing carries. 8. This is our timer. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is, guys. Oh, nice. On its hind legs and then off into the grass to slow it down. I just gotta say, folks, now what we're gonna do is we'll take off. Look how beautiful that thing taxis, guys. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, we'll take off again. That's with landing flaps, out of the flaps altogether, gear going back up. Now, I just took off at my timer because we had tons of power left. And so I'm actually gonna scroll. Here, let's turn on auto leveling real quick. Here's auto leveling, that's what it looks like. And while it's auto leveled, I'm just gonna go over and I can see that we're at 22.2 volts. And I'll just fly in auto leveling. When I let go, look what happens. Just goes right back. Let's show the people at home, 50% throttle. Let go of the stick, what happens? It just levels off the plane. So cool. Of course, I'm not gonna fly like that because I wanna control the thing. Take off flaps and gear. Getting into a little bit of a final here. We'll slow it down just a hair. We're gonna try for a grass landing this time. Camera crew back just a little bit further. Just for the trajectory reasons. I'm gonna try for a landing on the grass, but I gotta watch out for the UPS stick. Here we go. There we are. There it is, guys. Look at that. We don't do a lot of grass ops in our yard because our grass kind of sucks. And the truth is we just took all this hay out. And so if you guys look over to the left, you can see as soon as that thing stops, there's all the hay. What an absolutely fantastic looking plane. But I gotta say, she is quick. Look at that. One prop running looks so fantastic. And you don't need differential thrust, but you can't do that cool trick with differential thrust out of the equation. And they do send 5 different beautiful girls. Excuse me, there's what, 2 girls and then like a couple of cartoon dogs and cats and stuff. Full up elevator. You don't need full up elevator with this plane. It just doesn't, it doesn't challenge. Okay, take off flaps now. She just rotates so quick. It's beautiful. Out of the gear, out of the flaps. Get that thing greasy. Let's see if we can do a shorter landing here. But you cannot bring this thing in steep. It will carry tons of speed. So let's go back about 10 steps. We don't normally land on the grass, so I'm just trying not to tempt fate here, folks. And you do need to stay in power until you're ready to land. But as you can see, the thing just does it. It's really not that hard to fly. But again, like with anything beautiful that you love, you don't want to destroy it. And this is like a literal museum piece. So if you guys have the opportunity to get one, you must. You must. I command it from the links in the video description below. You'll help support Brian Phillips RC. Out of the flaps altogether, there's just a quick takeoff. And all you got to do is just jank that power. And you saw I did a tail strike because I was being a bad pilot. Okay, I'm going to do one pass through the trees at the low point. I'm going to do one quick sorties. Oh, that is so gorgeous. Look at that thing. We're gonna go back over here, full landing flaps to slow it down just a hair. I want more flaps. Look at the shadow up there, it's so cool. See, that thing just janks around with the differential thrust. I almost need a little bit of contrary aileron. So it's like you're uncoordinating your turn. That's so cool. No, I don't wanna hit you, flagpole. I do like you though. Okay. Out of the landing flaps into the takeoff flaps and gear coming down. Let's do one more touchdown. See if we can get a nice greasy one. Nice buttery landing. I can actually land up with a different approach here. No, it's just been so good. I'm not gonna change it. I'm just gonna take that low point that we go next to the cherry tree. Now let's try the landing strip this time. You guys see what I'm talking about? She likes to carry some speed. Look at that wheel. That's why I got to get off of the grass. Because if you don't get off into the grass, Brian, guess what happens to your plane? You careen down that hill. I can't stop now. I can't stop now. I have 22.3 volts.
You could.
Nope,
You
can't.
won't.
Sorry. So guys, if you haven't experienced the F4, the F7F, then you need to. And by the way, if you haven't experienced the F4U Corsair and the 1.7, you should. I'm gonna try the different line this time. I'm gonna get over this lower point, and then I'm gonna take this other hole. It's always fun to try the other holes. But as you can see, hitting on the grass, look how nice she slows down for you then. And this thing, make no mistake, is designed to be grass operated, okay? It has robust 3-point landings, 3-point main attachments, and then look at that nose gear up and down and up and down and up. Oh, it's so good. Oh, 22.5, you're tempting me. Look how good this thing does, guys. Look at it. Still going. Okay, out of the flaps, out of the gear. I'm gonna put the gear right back down and then coming back around. Takeoff flaps about 30% throttle, maybe hovering between 30 and 40. I like that line, that was cool. We can just set it down right in front of us if we're, get there, get there. Full landing flaps now. Look at that thing, look at that thing. Disappears behind the green and then right into a bounce. Sorry, folks. I feel like we can't end on that nasty bouncy wouncykins. Right? Camera crew?
Of course not.
Why would we want to end while it's still in one piece?
Right. We haven't destroyed anything yet.
Okay, you good? You guys good? Good thing we put that drop tank on there. Thank God we got enough fuel. So guys, just to let you know, this plane is awesome and I can't get enough of it, obviously, from the repeated flying over and over again when I should have landed. Now the bugs have been started to tickle my arm. That's always very fun and super helpful for flying skills. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. Flare, 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 flare. There it is, guys. All right, let's walk up and see some things. Okay, so first of all, this is not a super smooth runway. As you can see right here, object number 1, huge hole.
Giant holes.
Now, if you go down there, there's many, many holes. And I was just being totally serious about those bugs. Like for whatever reason, the bugs decided to start attacking my arms.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, there's nothing worse than when you're flying a beautiful plane and you've got like people tickling your arms as you're trying to land. It's so annoying. But you know what's not annoying? Watching the differential thrust on this thing. Oh my goodness. That is so dang gorgeous. I love it when only one of them is moving. So I'm trying to do it so only one's moving. I need a little bit more to get me moving. And by the way, be a little bit careful. This thing carries a lot of speed because the bearings on the wheels are so good. But man, oh man, can you say beautiful? What a looker, guys. Have you ever seen a plane so beautiful? Probably because this is not exactly a new release. But the truth is, folks, all I've got to say is you gotta get one now from the link in the video description below. I guarantee you these things are gonna sell out quick. If you see a video like this, how could you not get one? And to be frank with you, they're expensive. But I feel like the experience is so much better, even than an amazing J11 that you can crash into a tree because you only flew for 3 minutes. We've been flying this for 8 minutes and 2, over 5.
Yep.
And we're still at 22.2 volts, okay? Now, admittedly, I'm not pushing it super hard, but how do you push a plane? Takeoffs, that's the biggest one right there, because you're pretty much full power to take off. And also, I gotta say, for as long as a landing strip as you need, this thing really gets off the ground quick, okay? So if you're wanting something that's just fantastic looking, literal showpiece model quality, you can get this and you will not be disappointed. But also, I'm gonna say, the dang thing flies amazing too. It really does a good job. Now, I must say the dihedral in the wing is significant. So it flies a lot like a trainer. And when you go to roll it, you have to deal with that oscillation if you add your differential thrust in here. So I'm just gonna tell you this right now, and I've said it like probably 6 or 7 times in this video by the time you see the whole thing. You don't need the differential thrust, which means you can get away with the AR637T, but for like 15 or 20 bucks more, you can get the 8 channel. And well, actually, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. You can get the 6611, which is the telemetry equipped, but you use the reflex for stabilizer. Yep. And you should be able to get everything done, except, wait, we had mode. You would just lock your mode. Yeah. You would lock your mode to on for the stabilizer or off if you choose not to use a stabilizer. Plane this big, you could get away with not having a stabilizer. But admittedly, the thing flies great. Couple complaints about the plane. I know it sounds crazy after all those positives that there'd be complaints. One, a little bit of the paint was chipped off of one of my wings, or one of the props right here, okay? And that's pretty much it. I love this plane. And the collar, we had to fix that, which you guys will see if you keep watching the video. But I mean, honestly, it went together really easy. It was like one of the easiest builds we've done in a long time, even though it was a little hard to get the nacelles onto the wings. But I mean, it's like, it wasn't that bad. It was
not dynam hard.
No, I mean, it was just, and admittedly, my biggest complaint, and it is a legitimate complaint, is on grass ops, you're fine all day without thrust reverse. But if there was thrust reverse, and just imagine the power system, ooh, how delectable it would be if you had the exact same power system that you have in the Beechcraft. Oh, it'd be so good. Differential thrust out of box, thrust reverse out of the box. Oh man, it'd be so good. Because thrust reverse would make this thing land in, instead of being 275-foot runway with an extension for another probably 100 feet of grass to slow it down, you could easily land on 100 foot. And I'm not exaggerating, I guarantee you could. The other thing you could do is if you know you're on a short strip and you want to get this plane, you can incorporate a brake, okay? I've never done a brake on a plane, but I know people do them. Because these flaps are not effective to slow this plane down. There's just not enough going on there. And the thing is, you have to remember, in the real world, this plane, those flaps were probably enough to change the shape and do what they needed to do. But our air surface and our wing loading is such that I just don't think we have a big enough differential between our top speed and our bottom speed. And the thing just wants to, it comes down, guys. It does not just float down, okay? It will glide that way or that way, but it ain't gonna glide this way. So you see the way I was taking those landing approaches. I'm at a 10-degree slope, if that. That's not very much. I could bring in, you know, the F4U Corsair way steeper than that, but it's got huge flaps. Again, carrier-based hook points on these in real life. This thing does have a hook, just like the F4U Corsair. The difference between this and the F4U Corsair 1.7 is that that thing has, it's missing some apparatus for power called balls. And FMS has done everything they could to make the prop better and this and that, and really just get right down to it, it needs 8S if you want that thing to fly like it should. Because I want an F4U that can fly by screaming like in real life. And I understand we don't always get that on every model, but man, when you're getting the best model that's offered in a line, I want it. This thing does the speed, it does the slowdown, it does the grass ops, it does the beauty, it does the, you know, intelligent build, it does the livery choices, it does all the things you want, and it does it well. So anything that it doesn't come with, like braking, if you happen to fly off of a short, you know, airstrip like this, then, you know, you got to deal with that crap. But not everybody's flying off a strip this small. Let's get right down to it. Most people don't. And if you've flown here, Scott, just saying, and you realize that it's kind of hard to put down a plane when you're used to having, you know, 10 times as long a runway, then you'll understand where I'm coming from. Also, we don't have a lot of clearance on the end of our runways, and it's getting worse every year as the trees go up. That's why we're cutting all those trees down to make a pond. It's going to be amazing. We're literally working on it, and it pains me to think about losing all these beautiful trees, because look how gorgeous that view is. That is so sweet.
It is.
And it's like literally, it's the #1 reason why we didn't do it earlier.
It's a little terrifying.
Yeah, it is. Because we have a good thing, we're gonna lose a good thing for something that's better. But when we get our dam built, Then we're gonna have this road continue to the helipad and then straight across, which gives us two things, a crosswind, and it puts that sun, that fireball that blinds you when you're watching, and it puts us behind us while we film. And it also opens up our property so we can use it better. And it's also gonna be cool to have water ops. And there's a lot of good things. So if you guys wanna help support us, the number one best way you can do it is like the video, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and watch lots of content on YouTube. But when you're ready to stop watching on YouTube, click the links and buy these things, and you will help support us because we make commissions on the sales. Now, I am hard selling this because I really like it. And when I really, really like stuff, I hard sell it. And it's not every day. A lot of times I talk about the positives of a plane, and it's not my favorite. Okay, then I have my favorites, and I really want you to have them because I want you to experience the good experience. And we've had the mediocre experiences. We've had those and we say, okay, this is who it would probably please better than me. I'm not gonna trash the plane because I don't love it, but at the same time, this thing is amazing. It's just so cool. And my biggest gripe can be fixed. That is thrust reverse. However, with having a 10-channel transmitter, you might be kind of hard pressed to do that if you want to do differential thrust and you want to use the reflex. So just be aware, you're going to have some money tied up in two expensive avian ESCs. These are 60 amperes. There's a 10 amp UBEC that's at 5.5 volts DC. And the only reason we know that is watch our unbox. You can find out why. But also, those don't have BECs. Okay, so you may be able to save a few bucks there on your avian ESCs, but I don't even think they offer them without a BEC. Just make sure you detach your positive line so that you don't backfeed the system at different voltages and cause a problem. You can actually run an avian higher than 5.5 volts, which would give you faster response time on this, but I don't know. I don't want to tell you to do things you shouldn't do on your servos. That being said, two ESCs and a more expensive AS3X equipped receiver in the 10-channel arena would be sweet. But to be honest, even the 8 buys you the mode back, which means you can still do your differential thrust and thrust reverse, because you only need one channel for that if you're on the avian ESCs. So that being said, NX10 still keeps kicking because we don't need any more channels yet. But we're getting dang close, guys, I'm telling you. This plane is awesome. You need it in your collection. And if you don't have room for this, FMS, if you're listening, which I'm sure you aren't, why don't you make this in a 1.2 or a 1.5? Good Lord, what a sweet plane. Yeah. And you've already done it all for E-flite on the DA-18. So why don't you just make that thing and just plop some thrust reverse in there and differential thrust? Man, that would be a sweet plane. It would sell like hotcakes. And I tell you what, all the people that can't fit this in their life because it is a physically big thing, would fit that and they would be happy to do it. Now also, I just want to talk about that real quick. 2 screws, 1 plug that's an EC3, and 1 throttle. Everything else comes through 1 main hub based plug, quick disconnect. Why did you not do all of them through the hub? I don't know, but I'm okay with it because it gave me the opportunity to tap power for my telemetry. It was very easy. So watch the Unbox Build radio setup, which is publishing 1 minute before this video. And you guys can see all the details about this plane, but goodness gracious, what a beauty. Guys, oh, one other complaint. My decal. Notice that there is no scantily clad, big busted blondie on that side, but there is on this. Now, what happened, camera crew? Did you get very mad and rip that image off?
I did not.
In jealousy and frustration. You didn't?
I did not.
No. Okay, good. I'm glad you didn't. Actually, Mother Nature did.
Yeah.
Because we put them on and it was still wet and we went to fly and it goes whoop, ripped off. So that happens. I gotta say, that was the worst part of this whole kit, was getting that to apply, because the rivets are raised such that you would have to press those flat to get a good contact there, okay? So absolutely gorgeous. And as we close, let's get a little taxi action. Even if I just go in circles, guys, this thing is worthy of a taxi around the driveway. And guys, if you want to help us, we know we say this a lot, multiple times in most videos, but we want to make sure that there's no ambiguity about how we fund this channel. And it is mostly from people buying amazing planes. And we think it is the best way that we can serve the hobby, is not only bringing you guys good advice, good technical information and help to get started. But then the way you can help us back is just buy the things that you like. You don't even have to buy the ones that we think suck. Just buy the ones that we like and you like, and then you'll be pretty much set. And we've only got like, what, 1,850 videos or something like that to choose from.
Something like that.
So if you can't find something you like that we've reviewed, you're not looking very hard. And that being said, if you can't find it here, check out Brian Phillips RC. It'll help you sort through and then redirect you right back to YouTube if you're listening to YouTube Gestapo. And yes, we are going to direct people back here from our website, our own personal website that we paid you for the domain for. Yes, that's right. And also the BPRC me links, just in case the Gestapo is listening right now from YouTube. Those links were also paid for and bought from Google. So thank you, Google, for making a big stink about it. But the truth is, at the end of the day, we want you guys here on YouTube. We want you here watching our footage. But what we want even more than that is we want to encourage you to be flying. We want to encourage you to get off of the chair and get in the air, because that's really what you want to do. And where's our buddy? See, like I said, one of the only channels that's going to stop filming to film airplanes that are going overhead. That's how serious we are about this stuff. We love this stuff. And we know you do too, and that's why you're here watching. So guys, the FMS F7F 1700 millimeters. What an absolute delight. You gotta get one, and you gotta get them while they're hot. Let's do a little slow. Let's do an engine start, okay? We gotta do an engine start here. Oh yeah, engine start 1, engine start 2. Oh, we had a problem with the engine. Now we're back. That is so sweet. I just love the way that thing looks. So guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for being the best audience on YouTube. And special thanks to the camera crew for filming and putting up with me while we do these amazing videos. I can't wait to fly again, but good Lord, there's a lot of bugs out there. So I think I'm probably gonna go get a new battery and we're gonna fly this thing again. It's gonna be amazing, but it's just gonna be for me and her. So guys, thanks for watching. So much more coming from Brian Phillips RC. In fact, you're gonna see more video footage of this right now. So stay tuned, leave your comments down below, and don't forget to be members on YouTube. Super thanks are always welcome. Patreon members get better access to communication with Brian Phillips, and also PayPal. Just remember, we're friends and family, guys. That's all you got. Stay tuned. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips, F7F, 1700 millimeters of pure beauty and delight. This thing is amazing. It's huge. It's kind of heavy and hard to hold. By the way, you see these gear door? You can actually close those to hold it if you need to. But let's talk about that before we actually even take off. I set up differential thrust, and I'm gonna just warn you about this plane. This thing is powerful. And it has some amazing gear. That is so gorgeous. They're so slow and amazing looking. I just love the deployment on the main. They're all spring loaded, soft here. The mains are pretty stiff. If you let this collar go loose right here, your nose gear will not retract. It'll slide back, okay? That happened to us on our True Maiden, which you can see in this video right here. And then I'm gonna show you the next thing. The drop tank gets in the way. Just be super duper careful because of the nature of where your hold switch is if you have differential thrust, because if you shut that off and bump your throttle, you're gonna get cut the way you hold this. So we'll be right back when we're ready to fly. All right, guys, 8210, an Air 8210.
8020T.
8020T, sorry. And we've got differential thrust here, which is unnecessary, but still awesome. Takeoff flaps deployed. Here we go, guys. 15% throttle, 30. Rolling beautifully, gear going up. Look how long it takes the gear to go. That is so sweet. I'm at like 25% throttle, guys, just so you can see. What's it at? 38, I lied. That's 38% cruising, guys. That thing has some power to save lives. Look at that drop tank, beautiful. Going on the inside. Full throttle. Oh yeah. Oh, beautiful stall turn. That is a heavy plane, guys. Big and beautiful she is. Oh, big lumbering roll. Oh man, I'm loving this thing. The reflex works fine. The one thing that I can tell you about this plane that's different than what we normally have is it's kind of big for our area. Gotta check for manned aircraft here pretty quick. The ceiling is low, so I gotta be extra careful. Yeah, he's way up there. We're good. He's up there over the interstates. Now, full landing flaps here to give you guys a nice slower pass. About the same 38% throttle. Look at that beautiful thing. The differential thrust is not necessary, by the way, but it's just kind of a cool thing you can add if you want. And there is no reverse thrust on these Predator ESCs. In fact, there's no BECs on them because it comes with a 10 amp BEC, and we tested it. You wanna know why? Or at least say disconnected the lines or disabled it, one or the other. The reason they disabled them is because you don't want to have all those different power supplies competing for pole position. That looks so impressive going by. Goodness gracious. Now it is a little bit confused up there today. The wind looks calm, but we have a storm coming in. And I gotta say, this thing cruises like it's a slippery plane. It does not slow down much. Even with full flap deployment. What I wanna try to do is while we've got calm, oh, we do have pack telemetry too. While we have calm, I wanna see if I can slow it down for a landing. I'm gonna go out here, way out here where I can see good. And I'm gonna just fly the line, guys. We need to name the line. She's very forgiving on grass too, so we'll just turn that into a dirty pass. Cam crew, why don't you come back over here for me?
Okay.
Like right here, where I'm standing, and then I'll move. Where I was standing, not where I am standing. Goodness gracious. Okay, gear going up. By the way, it's a commitment to close your gear on this plane, because they take a long time to close. Now that's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. Oh, did the collar slip again? It did, I bet. Son of a biscuit lover. The good news is the gear will come out. They just won't necessarily go all the way back in. And I don't know why that is. We gotta figure out what's going on with that collar. We were talking about maybe gluing it. And it seems like I'm plowing through for good reason because this thing just carries a lot of weight. Okay, so we're gonna go way out here. We're gonna see if we can get a nice landing. We're just gonna take off flaps. Camera crew is gonna come out 3 steps toward the runway and stop. Oh, for God's sake, the cat just walked out. Get out of here, cat. Hold on, I gotta probably fly away for a second. Go. That's Ashy. I'm trying to scare him off. I don't want to hurt him. He's too dumb to get out of the way of a plane. Oh, and we have plenty of power though. 5 minutes last night gave us really good results. We had like 65% left on our battery. Okay, full landing flaps now. Slowing it down. There we go. Whoa. Okay, we're just gonna roll right off. You see that nose gear jumping? That's what happens when the collar gets slipped back, and we'll go look at it. Throttle cuts on. That's right at our timer of 5 minutes. So let's show the people our voltage. 23.2, guys. We could go for another 5 minutes probably and have plenty of power to get a go around. But I gotta say that nose wheel issue, it's annoying, but it definitely got back to the ground. Now, what I'm gonna do is my throttle holds on, and I've been testing this, and this is something you have to do if you set up the differential thrust like we did in our Unbox Build radio setup, which you can watch right now, guys. And if you wanna support us, buy these things from the links. Oh, let me close those flaps. Okay, so let's look at what happened to the landing gear. Okay, I'm gonna come in here, slide my hand under the inner gear door, okay? And this thing likes to slip off right there. This is what locks the gear down, okay? So the crazy thing is it'll land fine like that, and you saw it janking around. It's a little bit awkward to do because this has got a little bit of a spring load to it, but there it goes. Now it goes back down. Oh, so the screw's gone now. What the heck? And see, if you tighten that collar too much, then your spring doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that screw anyway because it was a Phillips. I would have rather seen a hex drive screw. So thankfully I've saved millions of them from other planes. And just to show the people at home real quick, the gear do operate so long as that collar's in place. Everything is fine, okay? So very good. And that's a little bit of an annoying thing on such an expensive plane, but it's such a minor issue. I'm tempted to take this thing loose right here and just like build up a teeny bit of glue on either side and then slide this back down to act like a Loctite, even if that screw would come loose. Now, admittedly, I tightened it tight, but it bit so hard that I couldn't use this spring on the nose gear, and it needs it. This plane balances on the mains exactly, and it makes a big difference in the way you land. So I want that springiness. And also, I don't know if you guys notice this, but our driveway is long, and this thing carries. If there was a plane where thrust reverse would have come in really handy, it would be this one for sure. And I gotta say, what an absolutely gorgeous plane. It's extremely hard to hold because it's so long, and I love the look of it. It is just so gorgeous. This definitely needs to be a display piece in your house. And then you can go up and fly it a few times, because I'm gonna just tell you this. One thing I can tell you about huge planes, and this is the no BS part of Brian Phillips RC, is that display piece planes make me nervous. I don't care how easy they are to fly, because this thing is pretty easy to fly. It's just actually lands with a lot of inertia, and it's got high wing loading, so you have to stay in the power. This thing has tons of it. So, I mean, you could probably hand launch the thing. It's that powerful. But the thing is, the barn doors at 125% down, they'll bind if you go beyond that, okay? So that's all the way down in the flat mode and 125% on the flap settings, okay? You can't get any more deployment than that on this particular plane. There's our takeoff flaps, very minimal, and then normal flight mode. But I just love, okay, throttle cut's now off. I love being able to do that. It looks so sweet. It's just such an amazing, fun thing to be able to do. And then listening to the differential in throttle condition on those. But I got to admit something, guys. It doesn't need the differential thrust at all. The rudder is super effective. Where that's going to come in handy is if you go up and you want to do a stall turn or something like that, you're going to be able to execute flawlessly. Also, we've got a nice little crosswind. It's very light, admittedly, right now, but right as we were walking out, get out of there, cat. It was pointed straight out and pulling the pole like this. So it's just variable winds. And we get this island of trees. Show them the island of trees. See the trees? They wrap all the way around this area. And so what happens is, even though we're not flying in that area the whole time, I'm finaling out there, and I cut back into the trees. And as soon as I cut back into the trees, if there's any wind, it's like if you've ever been in a wake, that wind gets caught. It's so weird. Like, you'd have to fly it to understand. It's not that this plane can't handle it. It 100% can handle it. It's just that this pilot sometimes get pressed by those things. And so if you're thinking you want more authority from differential thrust, you're not wrong, because it's cool to have. And not only is it cool to have, but it looks dang cool. But you know what's funny about it? Is it's almost like, it reminds me of the DA-18, okay? The DA-18 Beechcraft from E-Flight. Gorgeous plane, amazing power system, but here's the difference. Way more manageable size, easier to break down. This has one big plug for all the small servos, one plug for throttle, one plug for EC3 to go to an EC3 breakout that goes to an EC5, and then that powers your whole system. We've also tapped that for our telemetry so we can see our voltage, our pack voltage here, okay? So when you undo this wing, you've got two 26mm screws to loosen, and then you can pull the wing right off with the gear up or down. I mean, it's really not that bad, and you have 2 wires to unplug, one of which is a connector that's built into the side like we've seen so many times. But they wisely gave us another connector for the power so that we can be more sure of ourselves, okay? So I'd rather lose an aileron and a flap than lose a motor, okay? But you'd probably notice not having a motor. So anyway, I love the way this plane looks. It is an absolute joy to build. It really did go together, super easy. The latch on the top is a little bit tough to use because there's just a little bit of a bend in this, the way that the fuse is shaped. And so you have to really press down. I might need to take and sharpen the tip of the penetrating device, the penetration device. But then also here, kitty, ripped off of the other side in our maiden flight. Admittedly, it was a little bit rushed. It might've had some moisture still there. That was right in front of my face.
Yeah, it was.
That guy needs remote ID. So we were flying and I'm sure it just ripped off, which sucks because it's my young, busty blonde. Remind you of anybody? So anyway, that thing was a bummer. And also with the rivets, if you know which one you want to pick for nose art, try to smooth those bumps down because the rivets are very pronounced, okay? It's going to be extremely hard to get good contact. And because it's a water decal, a water transfer decal, you need to have a relatively flat spot for it. I don't know how you're going to do it without compromising the finish other than literally sanding that area down, like laying it down, like kind of like marking where the dots are that you need to take out and then like sanding them down, but you're still not going to totally cover that. You see a bunch of white spots then. So that's the only thing I can think that would for sure work, or take the X-Acto knife, bend the blade so you got a hook shape and then you can just cut them off like little skin tags or something.
That's gross.
I know it's gross. That's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. So that being said, beautiful plane. This minuscule complaints. I mean, this plane is amazing. The only thing it doesn't have for me is everyday flight status. You want to know why? This isn't an everyday flyer for me for 2 reasons. 1, it's huge.
Yeah.
2, it's heavy. And 3, I said 2 choices.
Yeah.
Right? 3, it makes me nervous that I'm going to lose such a beautiful creation.
Yeah, that's too pretty.
This is the type of thing I want to sit on my table and say, fly me. Why have you neglected me? I'm beautiful. Give me more money. Just like the nose art. Anyway, all right, that's all you got, guys. This is an amazing plane. I feel like we've sort of shortchanged it because the nose gear slipped on us. We will get that resolved, and we will try to catch a clip of that we will just kind of conglomerate into this, right?
Yeah, probably.
At some point?
At some point.
I think we already talked about it in the after the real Maiden, which will follow this part.
Yes.
And if we get some beautiful, this cloud cover is actually not bad for filming, but the thing is we're up a time commitment right now. So guys, FMS, 1.7 meter. Oh, and 4 liveries, 5 sets of nose art. You get to pick whichever one you want.
Yep.
We picked this and these because I like the way the marine stuff look, and we had one corner folded on one of our red, white, and blue stars and bars. So we were like, let's just pick from the other choices. And to be honest, I like the way this looked better. Yes, I know there's a giant BP, and this is BPRC, me, you know, but the thing is, it's like, I just always thought it kind of looked gaudy. Now, that being said, I know that's the way they really looked, and that's a scale replica. And they really did, they did things like that in the military. Okay, so I'm not saying it's like an unscale finish. I just don't like the way it looks compared to this. I think this looks more clean. It looks more like a real expensive machine that the government would put together, and they would have like lots of forms that were typed out on a typewriter. Ding! But I gotta say, beautiful plane. I don't think the drop tank makes it so hard to pick up that it's gonna be gone immediately for me.
Yeah.
But it looks amazing. I mean, I gotta say, having that thing drop down, like, you know, as you're coming across, I just think it looks so good. And the dihedral on this plane makes it really have a stable characteristics that's unexpected for a big, heavy plane. And this thing, make no mistake, is heavy, guys. It reminds me Draco style heavy. And guess what I thought about the Draco? The same thing, huge, powerful, probably not an everyday flyer for most, except that probably falls a little bit closer to everyday flyer just because of the nature of its transportability. It was designed to come apart a little quicker, if I recall. And so for this plane, I'm gonna give it 3 thumbs up. Ebert, I really like this plane. I wish that we had a little bit more clearance for flying. And so I think the dam runway is gonna help with that. And you know, especially if we're sitting at the dam gift shop, watching the dam runway. And by the way, guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're building a dam right there, YouTube. And that dam is gonna make a pond out of the water that flows in front of it. That's how dams work.
That's how they work.
At least we had to hire an engineer, pay him 15 grand to tell us that.
Yeah.
That's okay for a $136 permit.
Yes.
Did I say 15 grand out loud? Oh, I already said that earlier, but that's all right. There's not some other soil testing and gigantic expenses for the dirt work to be paid as well. So if you guys want to help us to stop bleeding and put a bandage over it, and by the way, I'm not just talking about that, it's happening right now. Like we have engineer working on it now. We're like 4 weeks into engineering, which is crazy. That's how long it takes. Evidently somebody is a little bit horny this morning. Did you hear that?
So.
Yeah. So you guys probably couldn't hear, but somebody was honking like crazy, and we live out in the middle of nowhere, so that's awesome. This pond will also be dug. It's going to give us lots of different options for crosswind. And then also when it's all said and done after the dam runway, well, there should be a helipad here eventually.
Right, yes.
We keep talking about
Past
that.
the helipad.
We've communicated a lot about that.
Yeah.
The runway's going to extend,
right.
which is going to help. And then there's going to be a helipad for turning around trucks.
Right.
And helicopters. And then we're gonna go straight out to the dam gift shop, and then there'll be a right-hand turn, which is gonna take you to the other exit from our property over there. And so that means we'll have different strategic points that we can fly from for different wind. And then also the manned aircraft strip is gonna be up there. These are the dreams that I have that we're actually doing because you guys are helping us do it. I had somebody the other day, what is it, Aerodrome?
Yeah.
The Brian Phillips Aerodrome, which is awesome. That'd be so cool. Because I'm telling you what, after we went to Knoll, it reinforced some of these crazy ideas I had. I mean, seriously, they have 400 acres they had. We got like 24 acres, which is still a lot of land, but it's not near as much as they've got. They got 400 acres, guys. That is so much room. It takes minutes, 15, 20 minutes to drive through the thing. I mean, granted, if you have 47 e-bikes run in front of you. You guys love e-bikes. We know it secretly. You're all closet e-bike lovers. That's okay. I'm just out of the closet with my e-bike. That's all I've got to say. So hopefully we haven't stepped on too many toes in the last 15 seconds. But all I'm going to say is this F7F is amazing. And if you have the F4U 1700, it is in a totally different echelon. Both amazing looking, both beautiful, both good flying. This one lacks everything that this doesn't. That would be speed, power, delivery, okay? That one looked good for low passes, you know, simple, very scale or subscale look. This one does all that, and then it does the aerobatics, it does the powerhouse moves. It does, if I was a better pilot, some flat spins with differential thrust, I think. But I'm just gonna tell you, this thing is not the same as the F4U 1.7, even though they're the same size class and they both take up a whole corner of your house.
Yeah.
Seriously, this thing is amazing. I do hope, however, I can get that nose gear to work, because that would be pretty annoying if that nose gear popped every time we flew it.
Yeah.
So beyond that, I think that's really honestly our only complaint. You know, the kitty thing, it's not really a big deal for most people. You just put a different one on if you have a problem.
Yeah.
So if you have questions or comments, leave them down below. We love putting this footage together. We hope we're answering real questions that really plague your mind when you sleep at night. You're like, bro, I just don't know if that F7F is gonna fly as good as my F4U. Well, it's gonna fly better. So now you know. So go ahead and follow the links, buy one for yourself. We are flying on 5006S. This happens to be a 50-seat pack. I would suggest staying with the manufacturer spec, which is 45 or greater. It's a little bit high. But the thing is, I don't really think it honestly needs that, because this thing is cruising around at 38% on takeoff. That's crazy, guys. Okay? And that being said, what does power do, camera crew?
Saves planes' lives.
Yes, that's true. And people that are in front of them. So guys, all I got to say is beautiful plane FMS. You did a good job. Just a couple of really small issues that I will work through and make this just fine. But other than that, you guys got to get one. Oh, also super thanks. YouTube subscriptions, membership rather. And then Patreon membership, which gets you a little bit closer to my back pocket for communications, or my side pocket, wherever my phone is. And then of course we have PayPal, but just remember, we're friends and family if you're watching this channel, especially if you're a longtime supporter and just want to throw us a few bucks because you had to buy this at the local hobby shop, but you feel like guilty about it. And then you cry a lot. We want to help you not cry here on Brian Phillips RC. So anyway, guys, that's all you got for today. This thing probably, I think this would do 8 minutes on flight, by the way, without any problems, with a little bit of room for go around. But I do not want to bring this thing in dead stick because I'm going to tell you, she's heavy. Yeah. And if you have to take that final with that low glide slope like we do, guess where it's going to hit?
The tree.
The main road.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, that's all you get for today. Thanks for watching. We'll have some clips coming up. That's not all you get for today because we'll have clips of getting that worked out if you just stay tuned. And if you guys have questions about how that worked out, we'll have it right now. So stay tuned. All right, so at our last flight, we had this nose gear collar come out, and I just wanted to show you my proposed solution for this. This should be pretty straightforward stuff. The last time that this popped off, we tightened the factory screw. And I'm going to show you exactly what I did or plan to do. We haven't tested this feature yet, but we are going to test it obviously for you with another flight. So obviously what happened was this collar here, it retains this, which is the actual linkage that comes out, okay? And it slides up and down like that. And you see it's like a C-clip. It just squishes onto this shaft here, okay? So then this landing gear is forced to deploy or retract based on the condition of that thing, okay? So what we need to do is we need to trap that in the upright position. Now, I don't have a battery in here, that's why it wants to keep tipping. So just be aware of that, okay? So this is a threaded shaft, or this is a threaded hole, and then this is a countersunk hole over here. So we had a countersunk Phillips before. It was terrible because once you go all the way around, there's a countersunk hole, and as you can see, we had a Phillips screw in there. And so what I did was I looked through my amazing RTL fasteners kits. This is the metric kit that was part 1 and 2 of 2. There's 2 boxes like this. Kit number 743. Okay, you can follow RTL Fasteners. We have a coupon code there, or do we have a link now?
There's a link.
There's a link, guys. So I looked through, I kind of split them up this way. It's not necessarily the way they come, but in these kits is the way you have to put them. And so I just cut each of the bags and I put like a little insert in each of my little box doohickeys. So I got an M2 Nylock stainless steel, okay? And then over here, I thought at first I would use a 12 millimeter it's an M2 12 millimeter. Now this isn't countersunk, but it doesn't matter. It's still gonna go through, right? Okay, so I'm gonna slide this back up and I'm gonna just show you why we didn't use that solution real quick so you don't have to figure it out yourself. Okay, I'll come around the other side. Now you can just imagine what it's gonna look like on this side. You'll be over here for the duration of the video now. Okay, so look how nice that is. It's torquing up nicely. Oh, and by the way, these screwdrivers, they came in the kit, which is really nice because it's got this rounded edge, the rounded drive, so you can hold it at an angle and still drive. Can you see it? You have to let me know when you get it focused.
Hold still. It won't.
So small. When they're small like this, extremely difficult to focus.
Okay.
But it's got that rounded tip on it, okay? So I can drive this at a slight angle. Now, you'll see I'm tight, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? Watch what happens to the play on the nose gear. It stops it from moving, so I have to back it off a hair, okay? Once you back it off a hair, you're good, right? But what's gonna happen is that is going to allow that to back off because now there's no pressure on the threads because there's no jam nut mechanism anywhere on that, okay? So as a result, this 12 is no good, okay? This 12 millimeter is not gonna work, okay? So we're gonna put that back where the 12s are, okay? Which is here. So the next size up in this particular kit was 16. The next size down was 12 in the M2. And then the next size from that was 20. So 16 is what I'm gonna use. And that's this one. You could also just like buy the product, I suppose, but I would get one that's countersunk. They sell everything. This just happens to be in my kit. And the RTL fastener kit, the metric and standard kits are like save the day kits, in my opinion. I never use them to like build a model, It's always some stupid bolt that falls off in the air, and there's like no way in God's green earth you're ever gonna find that thing. You will never, ever, ever find that thing. And if you do, which is weird, I say that, but then we find like broken props from like 3 years ago in our yard.
We do find weird stuff.
Which is weird. But we also collect hay off our
property.
property.
Screw is tiny.
So I tighten that very tight, and you see it eventually bites to where it won't. So then you just back it off a hair, maybe a hair more, okay? Now it moves up and down, everybody's happy, right? We got a little in and out action. Now I'm gonna take an M2 nut. This thing is so dinky, guys. And it's not just a nut, it's a nylock, okay? So a nylock is going to have that thread locking effect. And then of course I have this 4mm drive, and it seemed to work. I don't even know if it's the right size, but now I'm gonna put my tool in this side to lock it. And I'm gonna torque this down, and I'm gonna make a jam nut now, which is what we probably should have had in the first place. And once that's jammed, now I can see it's still wanting to walk. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my other screwdriver in it and back it off just, I mean, ever so slight, like 1/16 of an inch. Or not a 1/16 of an inch, but 1/16 of a turn. But as you can see, we have nice free play now, but we should have bite, and we have just a little bit of play between the top and the bottom. I don't like that, but it's probably okay. In fact, I'm gonna push this down and collapse that play out of it. I'm gonna back off my jam nut. There it is, backed off, as you can see. Push this up. I'm gonna push it up, and then I'm gonna tighten this back down. Now you could do that with other tools if you don't have this exact drive set, but I'll tell you what, it's gonna be a lot more work, okay? Now I'm gonna see if it's free still, and it is. I'm gonna try to torque it just a hair more. Too much. Back it off just a hair. Torque it down. You guys see what I'm doing? You have to actually jam nut this screw. Otherwise, it's just gonna be allowed to relieve itself under vibration of flight and ground ops, okay? So I got this just a little bit too cattywampus, there we go. And so you have to guess and check until you get it right. See this? Because it's so small, it's really challenging to know exactly when you get it right. The other thing too is I don't know how deep this pocket is. Yeah, it's got a pretty good deep pocket in it. So this shaft can slide into the pocket when you're tightening. Sometimes that isn't the case. Oops, I moved the servo, the steering servo. Now we are gonna put this back together and test it real quick, okay? Okay, so we have clearance there now. I don't think that's gonna move, so this is gonna be trapped. I'm not a huge fan of that design because I'm like, why didn't they just put a bite point on this? Like it seems to me like that would have worked better anyway. So if I continue to have problems, what I'm gonna do is I'll probably go ahead and drop this collar down here where there's play, and I'll take and drill and then tap a hole and put a set screw here, and then possibly one on the other side. This landing gear is worth making work because it's so dang beautiful. But anyway, that's all it took is just a couple pieces. They are admittedly sort of random pieces, but that is why we love having these little RTL fasteners kits. They have been game changers in terms of saves. They've been day savers. What am I trying to say? Lifesavers. There you go.
But I mean, they have been day savers. They've saved the day before when we've been stuck in weird situations.
And it's dark out, but we got busy and we couldn't commit to the flight today, which is unfortunate. So you guys don't know any better, but this flight is gonna happen after a little bit. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. This plane is so big that you can't just lay it wherever. You gotta, make room for it. So this flies on 6S, guys. And so I'm just trying to think, do I even want to put a huge 6S in there? Why don't I just put a small 6S in there? As long as it's got the right battery, I don't care. Because I don't want to have to load it in on a permanent fashion here.
Right.
We'll just put this in real quick. It is pretty easy to load the battery in this plane, admittedly. Some planes are just notoriously difficult to load. Now, also just make sure you're being super careful with that differential thrust we set up on this model. My differential thrust throttle cut is on. I always wrap my lanyard around to keep my throttle down. it's a habit. It's a routine I've been doing for many years now. So throttle cut's on. I'm gonna go to monitor and test. It's important to test when you have one of these homemade apparatuses because you may not have the same checks and balances for fail-safe. And yes, if that turned on, I'd be going to the hospital. So it'd be no fun. Okay. All right, so we'll just go ahead and let it go through the normal dance. Nothing started, that's good. And I was also noticing that this doesn't always like to go. I was bragging on how good it worked, and then all of a sudden it kind of like stopped working really good. And I'm gonna show you a trick that usually works for that. And that is to take out your X-Acto knife, we know you've got one. And then chase along the tip and just cut a little bit off of each of these edges. And that's just gonna guide it into the socket. Remember, you don't wanna lose the back part of the shaft because that's what engages and holds everything solid, right? But I'm just taking just a little teeny bit off of the edge. Now, that usually does it. I don't know if I got all the spots that we're binding. Well, let's try it again. Okay, so you just drop this in, push that down. Come on now, don't make me look like an idiot. It is a little bit better, but I can at least get it now. But you'll see it goes all the way forward now. Mm-hmm. Okay. I like it. Oh, it's got a little side to side walk. That's what's going on. Okay, I know how to fix that. I don't usually do it this way because you can cause some play in your canopy, but I'm gonna do it this way on this plane. Since we have a little bit of left-right play, I'm just gonna take that. I wish I had a reaming tool, it'd work perfect for this. And it's biting too much with the front of the blade, so I'm gonna run the back of the blade, and that back of the blade will do a lot of damage too. Okay, so once you get that done, then you can hopefully get better or easier, more reliable, simple alignment on that pin to chase it in the hole. See? So now, sometimes you just need to go in and out like 50 or 60 times.
Yeah. And
just, you know, practice and have fun. You can see it's kind of pushing it. You see right there? It's got to be lined up perfect. That's what we want.
Yep.
But it's funny because it only goes to that side, not the other. But now it seems to be working pretty good. So as I press it down, oh, come on, man. Whatever, at least I can get it. So if you guys do that and it saves the day, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna flip this sucker upside down. This thing is, the guns make it really hard to hold upside down. And also I have to put this off the edge of the counter because of the size of the plane. Can you help me with the plane stand, please? Pull it harder. There you go. This thing is heavy. I don't know if I mentioned that to you. Am I like hitting an antenna or something? Feels like I am. No. Okay, so that being said, this is a very heavy plane, and so you don't want to lay it. You don't want to lay it on the edge and run your vertical stabilizer into the edge of your counter. All right, here goes nothing. So we're going to show you the action again. Okay, so cycle. You can see this thing closing, and then it just presses the wheel into this. And so sometimes it doesn't press it hard enough. And so I want to see if there's something going on there maybe too. I don't really know that there's anything weird going on there. I just wonder why it's not. I don't think that's bent at all. It looks solid. I wonder why this doesn't pull down a little better. Let's try again. The other thing is we're upside down, it should help. And that doesn't rock in further at that point. Okay, so I'm wondering if there's something about the way that this drops down, and the tire obviously hits it. And I wonder if it was adjusted slightly different. And see, I've got this little disparity here. It's super small, but I wonder if this was adjusted with it up higher. So the only way I know to adjust that so that it pulls my gear doors closed, and don't mind that's just my timer. Throttle cut is still on, just double checking. I'm gonna pop this off, and I think I'll just go ahead and do both at the same time. It'll be easy. This is a pretty easy mechanism to work with. So I'm gonna take down here with my fingers and just tighten this. There's 1/2, there's 2 halves, there's 3 halves, there's 4 halves, there's 5 halves, 6 halves, 7, 8, 9, and 10 halves, so 5 turns, okay? I'm gonna have this ready to clip back together. And the same thing I'm gonna do over here, okay? Now you could do the same thing by adding material here. It looks like somebody shaved it down at the factory. Okay, so remember, we're gonna lengthen this, right? Or we're gonna shorten it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 halves. That's all you're ever gonna get out of that because there's like no more room for threads, okay? So then I'm gonna take this and just slide the rubber fuel hose up to the kind of the top part. And then I have to kind of manipulate that back down while not letting one side fall, because that makes it a lot harder to finish the job. We know how frustrating it can be if you can't finish your job. Okay, so there's that. Snap that in. Could be just a little resistance from the angle. I don't like it being that way. I'm gonna go half a turn again more. You guys see what I did there? So that it's going up. Otherwise, the propensity to want to allow it to undo is real. So folks, if you're watching this and you're thinking, goodness gracious, Brian, you go into way too much detail on this stuff. Yeah, but I never know what audience needs for help. So we just try to kind of show everything we think of that makes sense. Okay, now we'll try that again. So that should hypothetically pull that down further per the same movement. Oh yeah. This one can stand to go down a little bit further.
A little bit more even.
I mean, I don't think it's a huge problem to have them a little bit out, but I would like to have that down a little bit further. So why don't we do that? They do sound like they're dying when they finish.
Just a little.
Okay, so remember, I did 5 halves on both, so here's, wait, let's make sure I'm going there. Yeah, that's 6, there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, there's 10. I don't know why I started at that number. Why did I start at that number?
Well, you said 5 halves, but you actually did 5 whole turns.
5
you did
whole
like
turns.
10 halves the first time.
Yeah, there you go. My apologies, guys. That's why I have the camera crew here to help make sure I don't say anything stupid. She does a great job. Oh yeah, that's a nice tight fit now.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more turn. You think we can get it?
I don't know. You said that one was about out, so I'm not sure.
I think it is. I want to come out one with this. Out one with this. Okay. There's 1 half. There's 1. Okay. So we still have the same bite direction. You want to bite it in the same direction. I've been told that's more satisfactory. So you just use my thumbnail. I don't want to have to mess with that rubber thing again, okay? So now this one, I'm gonna also go ahead and use my thumbnail to pop that out, and I wanna go down. So there's 1.5, 2. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna stay, but that screw is right there on the end. I do not know if I'm gonna be able to get that on, guys. I am not sure that's gonna go. No, it's not gonna go. Show the people from the other angle, please, so they can see what I'm talking about. See this? The screw shaft is all the way up and out, okay? So if you run into that situation, it's a little bit more involved on the adjustment, but I think 1 half, 2 halves. Let's just see if that'll go. I just don't trust it. There's 3 halves. Let's try this, see if this goes. I'm sorry, I know you can't see anything right now because my hand is in the way. Gosh, they didn't design this very well because that shaft gets bent at a weird angle, you see? Mm-hmm. And this isn't long enough to actually reach over effectively. But let's see if it goes. This is really nice. See, and you're never gonna get it a whole lot better than that. It is tight now.
It's actually like hitting on the...
It's sitting on the reach.
Gear.
It's sitting on the bogey. Okay, well, in that case, what do you think? Pull this one out a little bit to match?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves. Okay, let's see if we got alignment. I'm just going for alignment now, folks. There's 4 halves, okay. Goodness gracious. You know, they used to sell these glasses that had like a camera that was supposed to be the point of view, the perspective of the filmer. Yeah.
Well, that looks pretty even.
That looks
though.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just, it hits that thing. That thing.
Yeah.
So the only way to adjust that is with these. You would adjust it a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's gonna get you the adjustment you need for the nose gear. I did nose gear like that on my Vampire. That's pretty dang good. I mean, it's better than it was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I gotta say, pretty dang good stock landing gear on this airplane. And I gotta say also, that repair was not too bad. Given that landing gear are sort of a critical member of an aircraft, I'm still a little disappointed I had to do this repair, but I'm not like super weirded out. It's not the end of the world. And obviously this clears, it doesn't cause any problems. It doesn't bind anything for steering. And again, it's just like one of those things where the only thing I would like about this better is if that was cut off flush, which, hold on.
Oh, goodness.
I think my strippers can cut that. I have strippers that'll cut that, hon. Right here. I just don't know if I can cut it in place. Because then it'll look perfect. It'll look correct. Show the people the other side. Okay. And you're like, are you seriously gonna cut that with your pliers? Yes, I am. Not a super clean cut. But yes, these things are my old trusty strippers and they do work really nice. Grinder, I can make that perfectly flush and it would look like it was intentional by design and not by accident. But the truth is, I'm fine with that as long as it works. And I think you guys will be too. RTL fasteners to save the day yet again. Awesome plane. Stay tuned, more flights coming. YouTube, it's the F7F. Amazing. This thing is huge. It's kind of heavy. I can barely hold it up. And it has some of the best gear we've ever seen. Check this out. They're slow and amazing. Amazing. Check this out. So cool. Look at those mains. They are so huge and so robust. Not squishy tires, but there is definitely throw there. Okay, that's just the least of it though, guys. We set ours up with differential thrust. And so we'll give you a little taste of that right now. Oh yeah, that is so sweet, guys. Look at that. We'll show you exactly how to do it if you want to follow along in our unbox build radio setup. But for now, I'm gonna back taxi a little bit. Let's try some grass ops for taxiing. Oh yeah, she's fine on grass because these landing gear are stout and designed to be on grass, but I'm gonna take off from the runway. And without further ado, camera crew, you good? Okay, here goes nothing. Oh, she's in the air, no problem. Oh man, so gorgeous. Gear going up. Holy cow. That thing is flying on rails. 30% throttle here. Look at this. Gear didn't come all the way up, it looks like. So I'm redeploying the gear. Trying again. See the nose gear? Yep, it's going this time. Guys, I gotta say, this plane has been a joy to build, but it is a handful. Oh, is that nose gear not going all the way up?
Still stuck out, yeah.
Okay, let's put the gear down then. Hopefully they'll go back out. 6S 5000. Oh man, that thing has just got a presence to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, do you feel the air?
Yeah.
Holy cow. And yes, those LEDs help, but they're not gonna make it super easy to see. Now we did set up reflex for auto leveling. I'm gonna go ahead and, whoa, look at all the birds. Holy crap. There's a ton of them, just all flew out all at the same time. So cool. A little bit of trim on the elevator. Takeoff flaps. Excuse me, now landing flaps. Everything feels good, slowed down nicely. Very good roll rate, no problems. Okay, out of the takeoff flaps, out of the landing flaps. I'm gonna try getting that gear to go up. I don't know what the deal is. We've had our gear up and down a couple of times. Is it going now?
Nope.
I don't know what the deal is, but guys, I'm gonna go ahead and have to leave it out. If in doubt, if the gear comes down, I'd rather have it fail down than fail up.
Yeah.
We have a manned aircraft off to the left. Probably IFR, because we got, oh yeah, he's way up there. I didn't see him. He's got his lights. We're in the civil twilight here pretty quick here. Doing an inside pass, about 4 steps to the runway, please. Oh my goodness, it is gorgeous and juicy. Okay. I gotta probably land because that nose gear, I can't handle that. And by the way, the differential thrust, I don't know if it's making a huge difference here, but I can tell you this, it feels really good. Look at that, yaw authority is like crazy. Okay, takeoff flaps coming in. I don't know how this thing's gonna land. It's pretty big, but the thing is, I feel like I need to just take my normal approach. We're gonna go from that side to this side because I don't know if the bowl might be a little bit tight for this plane. 1.7 meters is big. Camera crew is gonna stay back just in case something goes haywire.
Okay.
And our lighting is not amazing. I think we have plenty of time on the flight pack. We do have flight pack telemetry. Okay, full landing flaps coming in. We're gonna get into landing configuration. Pretty timid flight today, guys. I apologize, just, she's not slowing down as much as I'd like. But the thing is, woo-wee, I caught the edge of the runway and that was not a good thing to do. I'm gonna try going for just mains down on the grass, okay?
Okay.
So if you can just stay where you are.
Yep.
That's crazy when you can feel the air current from it. Got plenty of power. I'm at like 15%, very reserved on power. Just turned it into a visibility thing here, guys. Okay, just gonna keep in the power. Oh yeah, I just wish it would sink a little bit faster because you see what's happening is it's carrying so much inertia. Okay, takeoff flaps now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try one more line. Camera crew, you good where you are?
Yeah, I'll just stay right here.
Okay. Of course, we're getting just very light wind. Man, that looks so stinking good. Got lots of power here, no problem there. I think maybe I'll get a little bit better shot at it over here. I'm gonna go out about here, keeping the throttle. Camera crew, you good? In case something goes wrong, you just need to be able to move. I don't wanna slip with this plane because of the differential thrust. Okay, stay back. There we go. Nice bounce, thank you, plane. This is exactly what I was hoping. I'm gonna go off intentionally into the rough ground. The reason I did that is I wanted to slow the plane down. The reason I was happy it bounced is because I missed the avoidance. I avoided that nasty bump onto the driveway, okay? Because there is a bit of a bump on our threshold from the grass to the plane. Okay, or from the grass to the plane of the driveway, rather. Okay, so that was my timer, but that doesn't mean much. Let's go ahead and show you the telemetry voltage. So the pack voltage at this point, 23.4. So we're totally fine, guys. We could have kept going, but I just can't bring myself to let this thing die because of low lighting conditions and a nose gear that gets stuck.
Yeah.
What an absolutely fantastic and gorgeous plane. I think it would be fine on the grass ops, except for whatever reason. Now, by the way, I want to just talk about this real quick. We did differential thrust, okay? We mixed it. Nothing, throttle cut is on, nothing and nothing, okay? Nothing at all, ever. We go through the entire mix and how to do that. And I don't think you really even need it on this plane, but it's cool to have it. And anytime we can add a cool feature like this, I just think it is so cool. to be able to control one at a time. That looks just so dang sweet. And I'm gonna just do a little quick taxi. This is rough here, guys. Okay, so now throttle cuts on and I have tested it again. You pretty much gotta hug this thing like a toilet, okay? Like a plumber hugs a toilet. You gotta hug this thing. You are very vulnerable when you lift it up like this, okay? So I just wanna remind you to be super careful. Let's figure out what the heck is going on with this landing gear. So it didn't lock all the way. Gear. Ooh, it's getting caught on something. Is that the steering? Is it the steering? That all looks good. Ooh, what the heck is going on there? I don't know what it's even hitting.
Go put it on the plane stand?
Yeah, we can go put it on. Oh, buddy, is that it right there? That's it right there, guys. Look, this thing is supposed to be fixed somewhere and it's not fixed. We are gonna go inside and fix it. We'll be back. Okay, so we're in from outside and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna look over this gear mechanism. You can see here, whoa, look at that. That's loose. That's supposed to be down here. That's why it's not locked, because that's supposed to sit there.
Oh.
Okay, then where's the set screw? Oh, dude, that's the set screw right there. That's the screw that's supposed to tighten this collar. And that oleo there, it's all part of it. Okay, we can fix that. How can that be such a simple fix, guys? Too bad we didn't catch that before we went outside. Ooh, we might need a bigger screwdriver. I'll just bring two. So guys, as you can see, this device is clamped onto this device down here. If I can get that thing, yep, it's on now. So now look what's gonna happen. Now the nose gear is gonna work perfectly.
So do you think that was just loose?
It was probably just loose. We probably just never actually noticed that it was loose. Tightening it, now going to a bigger screwdriver. I wish that was a hex drive. Of all the times it could be a hex drive.
Right.
Okay, now we'll cycle gear. Yeah, so it didn't even break. Oh, that is so gorgeous. And by the way, speaking of gorgeous.
Yes.
That's the way she's supposed to look.
We only have a
This is how she
over
looks.
here.
So I guess unfortunately for us, we're just gonna rubber right off.
Yeah.
The other option is we could, and I talked to the camera crew about this, there's bunch of different decals you can use for this. And I almost wonder if we should just, if that doesn't work, because we had a really hard time getting these to stick down. Mm-hmm. And I was really tempted to put a big BP on there somewhere, which I guess we could still make that a BP, but I think it might look kind of lame. So anyway, guys, we will get you flight footage in daylight, but we like to show the real, true, unobstructed. Do those clear? The plane stand?
Yes. Okay,
the other thing I was noticing in flight is that the thing is, it's heavy and it's big. And you know what I want? I want those barn doors down a little bit more, okay? So watch this. First of all, throttle cuts on and tested, yep. So travel under flaps, watch this. That's all we're gonna get, I bet. It's bound up, it's bound up. So we're like 125, I think that's all we're gonna get. So now I'm gonna test it. You guys hear that? It usually means you have a gear slipping on one of the servos. But I'm not gonna say that that's for sure what's happening. Takeoff flaps look good. Landing flaps look better than they did. But honestly, I'm a little bit tempted to take this top screw and move it down to the bottom so we can have a little bit more deflection, because I'm gonna be serious with you for a second. This thing carries some serious inertia. And I think it's designed for bigger fields than ours, which would be true. But again, I'm trying to be dainty with the landing gear, and the way I put that thing down and bounced onto the runway, I got a special kind of lucky on the way it bounced. But then as I was coming in and I did my first kind of touchdown, which was more of like a high-speed pass, that one, I was not so lucky and I hit the gear. So let's see if there's any damage. I don't think there is. These are some stout landing gear. It's just incredible how detailed they made these things. It's just so beautiful. And yet they still managed to put a rock hard tire on there, which is crazy. You would think if they're gonna go through the trouble to put something this sophisticated, they would put a pneumatic tire on there. Although to be honest, you can't get a beautiful rim like that with a pneumatic tire in most cases. So guys, in closing, this isn't the end of the video, but this is the end of this night. This has been a marathon run. This plane went together really smooth. And honestly, I really want to fly it with the drop tank because it looks sweet, but I'm going to say this right now. Where the heck are you supposed to hang on to this plane? It's already bad without the drop tank. There's like nowhere to grab it because the guns, the inboard guns here, like they take that spot. And you don't really want to have your hands in here where these props could start up, even though you have your throttle cut and you've tested your differential thrust a million different ways. It's still a little bit nerve-wracking to reach in there like that. Additionally, tons of power. You probably didn't even see me at 50% power tonight. And to be honest, it was getting so dark. We tried desperately to get this thing done, and our camera battery is why we didn't film in perfect sunset conditions.
Yep.
No wind, beautiful sunset, cloud cover for perfect lighting. Oh, it's so frustrating. And that only happens once in a blue moon. Actually, that was a few weeks ago. So, but that being said, what are we gonna do about her? The kitty?
I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to put the other one on.
Yeah, because I think like right now, that's basically what we're gonna have to do is we're just gonna have to rub her off.
Yeah.
Do you wanna help me rub her off or can I rub her off by myself?
I guess you can do it by yourself.
Sorry, that's too bad. And honestly, I thought there were some cool decals.
Yeah.
And those are the only ones that are water decals if you aren't or haven't found yourself watching the Unbox Build radio setup yet. And one of the things that's nice about water decals is that they go on nicely, unless of course you have gigantic simulated panel lines. And this thing has some huge bumps on it.
Yeah.
And
well, and we don't, like we showed them how to put them on. We don't have to show them.
well, I'm just rubbing her off right now.
I know, normally we wouldn't do that on camera though.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But the truth is, guys, this plane kicks butt. It is huge. It is beautiful. It is detailed. It was easy to build. It just happens to be gigantic. The only problem, literally, that we had was the problem that you saw on the nose gear, which is kind of a big one, to be honest. And guess what was caused by? About half a turn on a Phillips screw. That is finite detail right there, guys. I gotta say, just an amazing product. And we got done putting on all the decals. The livery is just fantastic. Super scale, super realistic looking. And if you guys wanna get one of these and help support our channel by buying them from the links, you will be helping to support us with small commissions that we get from FMS or Horizon or whoever we're working with at the time. Also, we did pair this up with an 8020T. So we get the telemetry for the pack voltage and we get other telemetry that we're not really using like Vario. So we could do the beep, 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 boop, boop, boop if you want. But I literally can't get over how amazing these landing gear are. I don't know why we don't have more like this. I can tell you why, because it's really expensive. But what I can definitely tell you too is it flies on a big pack, but I'm telling you, I don't think it pressed that battery hard at all. I mean, I was barely into the power.
Yeah, that was pre-reserved for you.
Oh yeah. Well, and the other thing too is I said how great this pops because we started our build in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so when the middle of the afternoon failed to be the middle of the afternoon and it became the beginning of evening, that's when, and you can see the pink out here, guys. It's so devastating for us YouTubers that fly airplanes. Like in 20 minutes, that gap over there you see with that light coming through, that's the way the whole sky should be right now. And look what color that plane is.
Yeah.
It's the same blue as the sky. Ugh. So the Marines, the Navy, whoever, whatever service was using this plane would have been making a good decision making it blue like this because it would have helped to disguise it. And boy, oh boy, lots of guns on here. And we took and reserved our little danger stickers for that. They weren't actually supposed to be there, but I figured we should warn the people standing in front of the guns. I'm sorry, the firing devices. So anyway, just for YouTube. This plane is awesome. I'm gonna flip it over again and just show you how awkward this is, okay? It's not so much that it's like hard to lift, it's just like there's nowhere to put your hand. So you see I've got the nose on my belly You can put your hand on the landing gear doors, but you don't want to support the weight of the plane on the landing gear doors. I gotta set this down because it's just absolutely amazing to look at. Oh, did you see the way the springs? Oh, it's so gorgeous. I just don't know if we need to tighten anything else. It makes me want to like double check stuff, but it's like, what do you double check?
Every single thing. Like, I mean, that's not very
practical. So awesome. And by the way, I don't know, would they put nose art on both sides? That would be pretty.
I think usually, but we could theoretically leave her off the one side. I know you're partial to the blonde girl.
The big busted blonde girl. Let's not leave out details. So anyway, there it is, guys. There you have it. If you want an amazing plane, you will not be skipping or missing a beat by getting this F7F. It is an amazing Tigercat, and I've never had a Tigercat before, and I am so happy to be having a 1.7 meter, no less, for the first one. Is pretty amazing. And just to give you an idea, okay, so this plane is 1.8 meters. Okay, and that plane is 1.7 meters. And I just want to tell you something about size and scale, okay? This is 1.8 meters. It weighs conservatively half or more than, like less than half.
Yeah.
What that plane weighs. Granted, that has a lot more power. And this thing, just to give you an idea, look at this, just the size difference. This is huge.
Go from this side too.
This is a big warbird, okay?
Yeah, it is.
Let me flip it over so we can go wing to wing. That's why it's hard to tell online, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull this antenna off, okay? And then I'm gonna put this down next to the antenna on the, see that? It's got a little bit more wing to it. And what you're gonna see is the wing loading is so much lower on this than that, meaning that there's a lot less weight per square inch of the wing mass. And so that means the drag is higher, which means this flies slower, and it's also going to, it's gonna be easier to fly. But I'm telling you, this thing flies easy. It just flies quick, and it flies with ample power, and the flaps and everything about it are just really well done. But is it gonna be an everyday flyer? And these are questions that you want to ask yourself when you're spending this kind of money on a plane. Is it going to be an everyday flyer? I think the answer to that question is, for most people, if you're not flying out of your front yard or your backyard, the answer would be probably no. Because this thing does come apart with 2 bolts. And hold on, I'm going to put those flaps back up so you can see it again. It comes apart with 2 bolts, quick disconnect, and 1 EC3 and 1 throttle wire connection to undo this whole apparatus, okay? And then you can do the same thing over here with the same number of connections. But do I want to take those apart?
Probably not.
You can, and that's the key. And by the way, look how thin this fuselage is.
It is.
Look at that compared to the engine nacelles.
Yeah.
The engine nacelles are bigger than the fuse. Pretty amazing. I can't imagine sitting there with my feet right on the chop line. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
But what an amazing experience. So guys, FMS, you hit it out of the park with this thing. Absolutely amazing plane. I want to see more like this if we can get our hands on them. And I gotta say, this nose gear, it is fixed, isn't it? Or is it spring-loaded? I can't tell. I thought it is spring-loaded, but good God, that is really hard to move. You know what? There's gotta be something not quite right there. You see how it's stuck down?
Yep.
Do you suppose it's possible to like tighten it so tight that it bite on to the shaft inside?
Now it's over tight.
On this thing that we had come loose? Let's see. Let's see. I loosened it and there it goes. Yeah, I had it over tightened. Well, crap, how are you gonna make sure that that doesn't happen again, Brian?
That's a great question, Brian.
So, I wonder if I could like put a piece of tape across this just to hold this, you know? It seems lame, but it would be enough to just kind of keep it in position.
Right.
Because you're not really bearing any load. You're just literally keeping it in position to the other piece. Mm. And we have that screw in there, but I mean, I want that spring. That spring makes a big difference. That's a good question for me. And I don't want to glue it, and I don't want to put like Loctite or anything in there underneath this collar. These are the things that keep me awake at night. But it's a great problem to have. And so honestly, guys, if you want to support us for the work that we do on this channel, just buy these things from the links in the video description, and you will be. And if that isn't the best method for you, and you want to do one of the other 4 methods that we're always talking about, we appreciate you either way. And we want you guys to be here. We want you to be flying. We want you to be learning, and we want you to be just enjoying this hobby alongside us, not just watching us do it. Because I gotta say, and I gotta give him throttle, hun. I gotta do it. I can't not do it. Okay. Backing out of that small adjustment here, I'll go behind the plane so that we can fire this up. I'm just gonna go ahead and hold the tail. We should be good. Throttle cuts off. Oh, that is so sweet. Just a little bit of differential thrust all the way over. That is so sweet. Throttle cuts on and tested. So there you have it, guys. Beautiful plane from FMS. Get one for yourself. The F7F Tigercat. Beautiful 1.7. You gotta fly one of these. If you can't get one yourself, find somebody who has one and let them lend it to you. Just get up in the air. If you ever want to fly somebody's plane and you don't have it and you're maybe not a great pilot, have them take off, get in the air, get 4 or 5 mistakes high, and then talk them into handing over the controls for a test. Okay, that's a great way to do it. Because I'm gonna tell you where people lose planes is on takeoff and landing, okay? No matter your experience level, okay? So what I would suggest is if you really wanna fly this, you can't afford it, or you don't wanna have this, your hangar won't support it, or you can't get it in your car, or whatever, you gotta find somebody in flight. Same thing with the Carbon Z, the Cessna 150T, the T28, one of my favorites as well. Obviously the Carbon Z Cub. These are the planes that not everybody can fit because they're big, but man, they're a cool experience. We used to have, we did another one as well, which was the F4U Corsair in the 1.7 meter.
Size class.
That thing is a monster. It's so huge.
It's gorgeous.
It takes up like the entire half of the counter.
Oh yeah.
And, but that thing is not a powerhouse. This thing does everything it did better because it's got power and it's got speed. So if you don't have power and you don't have speed, it's hard to be a warbird. Now you can be a Carbon Z and you can get away with going slow, but the thing is I still want to be able to go fast if I want to go fast. And that's what makes these things look so deadly and realistic, because that's what this thing would be in real life, is out there to kill things. All right, hopefully that answers all your questions about this plane. It's awesome. I like it a lot. It's definitely one of my favorite planes in terms of looks. It's definitely one of my favorite planes in terms of buildability. It went together super smooth. It wasn't without some effort because it's a lot of pieces. And the hardest part was getting the wires landed for each of these nacelles onto the wing.
Yeah.
And honestly,
and it wasn't
even that bad.
Yeah. And some of it was a little bit self-induced because you did the differential thrust.
Oh yeah, the differential thrust would have been, yeah. Because you, and to be honest with you, like you don't need the differential thrust. It didn't make like that huge of a difference to me.
Right.
I think in ground handling, in slick conditions, it would be pretty handy. But the thing is, like, we don't go out and fly in ice storms that often.
Right. Hopefully not.
So the other thing too is just keep in mind, if you get this plane, look how tall it is. That is tall. Look at this.
Yeah.
That's very tall. Okay. So if you need to store it and you want to take up less space, pull off the drop tank, collapse the gear, put it flat on the ground, your prop sideways, and you'll take up almost, well, not quite half the space, but at least close to a third the height.
Yep.
So just whatever is getting in your way of getting this plane, fix that problem and get it, because it's awesome. All right, guys, that's all you get for tonight. We've got, hopefully we'll be leading this video off with like a flight where you can actually like see things and it's not dark.
Yeah.
But we do like to share our actual setup. That's what we do here on Brian Phillips RC. That's why we had 5 flights on the F-18 the other day. By the way, F-18, way harder setup, harder to fly, harder to get tuned, still very fun to fly. But I'm gonna fly that any day over this. Granted, it is considerably more expensive and it's a lot bigger plane, but I'm gonna tell you this, jets and warbirds are super fun, but there's something about prop-driven planes that are well done that just get my juices flowing. literally. All right, guys, that's all you get. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. So much more from Brian Phillips RC. Oh, hey, don't forget to smash the like button on the way out and subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you know when we're going to be at Bigfoot and things like this, which is
October 19th through the 22nd.
Thank you. Somebody knows.
I hope.
And what we're going to do is we're going to keep reminding you about that periodically, because I know a lot of you are going to say, hey, we wish we could have seen you there, but we weren't there. So if you're planning on going, if you're in the Birmingham, Alabama area,
Yes.
we'll be at that event. And yes, we're in central Iowa. So yes, we're going to get in an airplane and we're going to fly halfway across the country to this event. Well, not quite halfway, but we're going to fly like a few, well, it's a long ways. So we are excited to be able to be there, and we're excited to be able to strum up some interest. If maybe you were on the fence, we want to help get you there. So maybe we can meet in person and you'll find out that I actually do talk this much in real life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, was I not supposed to say that?
That's the closing.
Yeah.
All right, see you later. Thanks for watching.